Hello. Today I'll be making a Zooba tier list discussing what the best characters are and balance changes for really high tier and low tier characters. Okay, so to start off with, we'll use Finn. I feel like Finn is overall a pretty good character and probably deserves maybe B tier, or high B tier, low A tier. Okay. So I will be also ranking these characters by best to worst in the tier list, so we'll put Finn pretty high up for now, and there might be other B tiers that are better than Finn. Next, Nyx. Nyx is probably one of the best characters in the game, if not the best, so she definitely deserves S tier. Her cooldowns are really good, she has really balanced kit, really strong weapons, and just balanced overall. And the next character is Donna. Donna is probably one of the worst characters in the game. Honestly, she's just so slow, her recharges are so long, she just can get kited so easily. So we'll put her probably high D tier. I don't think she's as bad as some people say she is, but definitely probably one of the worst characters. Steve, I think Steve is a little bit overrated. He really struggles with getting on top of people, because his flight can just easily be avoided by anyone with any form of mobility, like Finn, or Nyx, or Molly, or even Buck, just anyone. So, and then his bow's really, really good though, so that puts him really high. So, I would say definitely really high B tier, probably, I would say low A tier maybe. But overall, he just can't get on top of people as easily as some characters can. Next, we have Skippy. I think Skippy is really good right now. He has really low health, and because of that, that's really his only weakness. He has great movement ability, good damage, and just pretty good character overall. I think definitely A tier and definitely S tier if the player's good enough. Next we have Ollie. Ollie, she is a really good character that is really, really, really bad in the beginning game and the end game. If she doesn't get weapons, she has no mobility. She has the exact same speed as Bruce and Donna, making her basically in the beginning game a Donna and a Bruce without an active ability. Like, it's just so useless. You have to spawn in jungle if you don't get to start your choosing position, and you're just stuck in Igloo with another Nyx or in Museum, you're dead. There's nothing you can do. So because of that, Ollie's probably very low D tier. Maybe even just, I don't know, I would say maybe above. Donna and, I would say they're really tied, honestly, so I just think they both go together in D tier. But we'll put Ollie above because mid-game, Ollie is really, really good. She can just keep her distance. When map's big enough, she doesn't have to fear about the fire unless you're sitting on the very edge. So you just have to play center of the map near bushes. And that's where she does the best. And Betsy. Betsy's another not very good character. If someone just gets on top of her, she's dead. So, like a Jade, unless you're running like level 7 or 8 helium canister, there's really nothing you can do. Having no direct damage, it just makes her suffer a lot. But in teams, she is very good, so I'm probably going to put her high C tier. She's honestly really, really good in teams, and a good player can really do well. She's probably one of the worst characters for bad players to play, honestly. So it just all comes down to how well you are good you are with her. Henry, I think Henry's easily at least A tier. I think Henry's really good. He has an active ability that basically does everything. Henry can just get on top of people. His active ability gains movement speed, lets him fly over low obstacles, heals, and deals damage. It's absolutely broken. And on top of that, he has one of the best passives in the game. He also has a little bit worse Steve bow, so he's just absolutely really good. But there are characters that he struggles against. I see that I played him a lot, and I see that he struggles against people with a lot of knockback. So, honestly, snipers are kind of a struggle with him. if they're just playing knockback. Like an ollie, just knock you back right as soon as you get on top of him. And he's pretty much close range. He also has a better spear than Steve, making him also more range and just making him more balanced. Making him not have to rely on getting on top of people as much. Next we have Jade. Jade's definitely A tier, maybe low C tier. I just think that she's had so many nerfs that she's just not as good as she used to be. She used to be absolutely overpowered, way above Nyx ever was. But yeah, probably very high A tier. Maybe low S tier. We'll just put her in S tier for now. I think she's really good. And especially with jungle shoes and the right item build. As Larry goes, I don't know. Larry's okay. I would say low B tier, in my opinion. Not really much to discuss about him, honestly. He's just, I don't know, pretty average character. Next we have Ollie. I think Ollie's pretty good. I would say mid B tier. She's just kind of like a mobile character. Not much to discuss about her either. She's just a mobile character, and that's pretty much it. Milo. Milo's very good. Definitely probably A tier. I would say between Henry and Steve. And yeah, she's just a Pepper Shelly combo. So that's that. She's really good. She's got a great passive. Her active's very good. You can use it really well and just avoid attacks, and then you can use like knockback spear. So like you use your active when they approach you, knock them back, range them, when they come back, do it again. Bruce, I feel like Bruce is a tad bit underrated, but I definitely think he's still, I don't know, not that great. So I would say he's below Larry, maybe B tier, maybe even C tier, honestly. But I think above Betsy, anyways. Yeah, we'll just put him high C. Well, we'll just put him in really low B for now. And then Shelly. Shelly's really not the best character. I would honestly say even below Bruce. Like, once Bruce can get on top of you, he can just do a lot of work. He's also pretty good in teams. He's a good sponge. He's got that knockback immunity, so he can like sit on weapons and get revives. He's pretty good. But Shelly, she also has the active ability, but it's on such a long cooldown. And literally her passive ability just gives her more health. So basically, Bruce has Shelly's passive. It doesn't really make any sense. Top of that, Shelly's really slow because she's a turtle, so, yep. As for Louis, in my opinion, I think Louis might just be the worst character in the game. Maybe, I don't know. I would say just a little under Donna and Ollie. The thing about Donna is people just play her too aggressively. She has to wait for enemies to come to her. But then in in-game, she can just get knocked around in fire. And that's what really makes Donna bad. But Louis, as soon as someone gets on top of you, that's not like a Henry or a Jade, they just burst you down. Because Jade, it eats up her passive, the rats. So Louis is actually a decent counter for Jade. And then Henry just can't get a bite off. So, but other than that, if a Steve lands on you, you're dead. If a Bruce gets on top of you, you're dead. If a Finn gets on top of you, you're dead. I mean, it's just, if a Skippy gets on top of you, there's nothing you can do. And then you can just get kited, and her bow's too unreliable. It's just, she's not a good character. Earl, I think Earl's low C. I play him quite a bit, and I think, I don't know, he needs some adjustments, but he's not actually that horrible. So probably mid C, maybe. I think maybe above Betsy. Betsy just, I don't know, she struggles just having no built-in knockback to go with her kit. It's just not good. No direct damage. I don't know. Your only hope is just throwing your bomb and your bow beneath you, so hoping people won't push you because of that. But most of the time that doesn't happen. As for Lizzie, I think she needs to go into separate tier lists. In squads, she is absolutely S tier. She can just heal her teammates. She's a walking medkit. But in solos, I'd say she's about low A, probably. She's got a pretty balanced kit, maybe a little bit below Finn. I think Finn's better in... I think Finn is better than Lizzie in solos, but worse in squads. So, she's probably definitely S in squads, and probably B in solos. So we'll just put her S. We'll just put her A because it's a good balance. Okay. So Buck. Buck, his passive is probably one of the best in the game. He's just so slow and can't get on top of people, but he really is good against people who require them to get close to you. So like he's good against Shelly or Bruce, and good against Larry. Anyone who has to like get on top of you to deal damage, because then you can just charge them and then kill them. Because the cooldown reduction, it's absolutely broken. So I think he's probably mid B. I think he's below Larry, but above Bruce and Shelly. And then for Fuzzy, the best camper in the game, but this tier list isn't really about camping. So I think probably a low A, for sure. But right now, you can just get such high GMs from just playing Fuzzy with Toolkit. It's just totally crazy. Duke, I think Duke is really good in squads, but really bad in solos. It's just you have to like, I don't know. I think he's worse than Donna in solos, honestly. Unless you're really high level. If you're really high level, then you can just burst him down. But he does have his bow, which allows him to kind of poke at a distance, so then you can deal a bit more damage instead of having to like get right on top of someone. But in squads, people have to come close to you, so you can just burst them down and roar, and then your whole team can just kill whoever you've roared. So because of that, I think I'll put him above Buck. I think in squads he's definitely probably right here, but in solos he's probably here. So we'll just put him below Larry and right above. We'll put him here for now. But solos and squads are really two different games entirely. It's just the characters vary so much. Okay, like Henry can be a damage in solos, but then in squads he's a support because of his passive, you know? So yeah. And finally we have Frank. I don't have Frank yet. I was supposed to get him from events, but I didn't get him. I guess it registers from when you got the event rewards instead of when you have it now, so I didn't get Frank, so I'm not able to test him and see how good he is, but where I think he'll be and where I've seen him, I think he's probably mid B tier, maybe very high C tier. No, I think he's probably right here below Larry and above Buck. His pull is really good in squads. You can just like pull enemies away from trying to revive their teammates. So it's really good to do that. And yeah, and he has a lot of, he basically can just get Bruce's passive ability by drinking water, can like stun enemies basically for like 2 seconds and that are hit, but they can still move. But he's really good. I don't think his pull's reliable enough to be any higher. But if they just fixed how weird and glitchy he is right now, I think he'd be maybe A. Yeah. But I see a lot of people just play him on empty mode, and I think that's a mistake. I think you should play him near the water, drink up when you need to get that extra health and healing. And that brings us to the next part of the video where I want to discuss how the characters that are really high and really low should be balanced. So, Nyx, I just think the dash cooldown could go down a little bit, and maybe the bow cooldown too. And she's really a good character for beginners to pick up. I don't think she's gonna like, everyone has Nyx right now, so I think she's okay where she's at. She's not like absolutely game breaking, you know. But when Jade was released, that was game breaking. Like Jade's just won every match, even if they were like 5 levels below everyone else. So yeah, but Jade right now, I think Jade is fine. I think honestly she could use a nerf in her reaction time with her clawing, but could use a buff in her active ability speed. So then that would bring her just about balanced, honestly. Lizzie, I think she should be reworked between solos and squads. I think in solos her eggs should do more damage or last longer in solos instead of in squads. I just think she should be reworked in teams and in solos. Skippy could use a slight health buff, and that's about it. Like, I don't know, and maybe nerf his bow down a little bit. It's just his bow cooldown's too big. I mean, it's too small. It's just it's crazy. So other than that, pretty good. Henry, I think Henry could use knockback reduction on his flight, and then that's about it. I think that's pretty good for Henry. It's just knockback reduction, not knockback immunity. Knockback immunity would just make him crazy good, but he just can't get on top of people with knockback, and I don't know. He just suffers because of it. Or if they don't want to give knockback reduction, then slight health buff maybe. I think that would put him in his place where he deserves to be. Milo's pretty good. I think she's actually fine where she's at. I think Milo's pretty good. Maybe her active cooldown could go up just a tiny bit. Other than that, fine. Steve, his flight should last longer, and I think his flight should last longer, but you can be able to cancel it early maybe. Like, you can be able to, it should be added in like 0.7 seconds, 0.75 seconds should be added, but you can cancel that 0.75 seconds early, and his speed could go up just a tad during his flight, and then his bow his bow damage should go down to the same as Henry's. And that would put him in his place. A little bit better than he is now, but not too overpowered. And Fuzzy, I think Fuzzy's fine. Fuzzy's probably pretty good. He probably could be higher up here, but I don't know. Fuzzy's pretty good where she's at, honestly. Or he, who knows. Finn, okay, Finn, his base speed's just ridiculous. It should be a little bit higher, and for some reason, Larry and Molly have a greater spear distance than than Finn. That should definitely change. Finn should have the same spear range as those two, and right there, Finn's fine. And then when you're chomping and spearing, I think it should go in the direction you're aiming. It shouldn't auto-aim the spear. That's just weird. It doesn't, it's so annoying. And then, Frank, just make his pull less buggy, and he's pretty good. Just make it reliable, like, no matter where they are, it pulls the same distance as long as they're in the range. And then maybe make his drink cooldown a tiny bit less. And I think all the tanks should just get a speed boost. Just like a slight bit, because all the tanks right now just suffer from all, like, the damages. It's just, it just doesn't work. So, yeah. And that would pretty much fix pretty much all of these. They should have knockback reduction during their active abilities. Not knockback immunity, knockback reduction. So then they're not going to be shot across the map while he's roaring or while he's charging. It used to be that they had knockback immunity, but now not anymore. Bruce, in addition to the speed boost, his passive should be reworked to CC immunity. CC is anything that changes a character and how they function. Like any type of slow, like a fuzzy slow, or knockback, or a pull by Frank. I think he should be immune to all of that. And then Bruce is fine. Like, that would just make a lot of sense with how he plays, and yeah. As for Shelly, I think Shelly could just... His passive right now just adds health. It's so dumb. What it should be is it takes, like, for each type of hit, like for direct hit, he takes less damage from that for like the next 10 seconds or something. And another thing for Finn that reminds me, his passive needs a rework because he basically doesn't even have a passive. Like his passive, it rarely ever works. And as for Henry, his passive works 100% of the time. Finn should be enemies are visible to him for the next 10 seconds that they were hit. So basically it would totally align with his passive and how it works because like it's blood scent. So you can smell the blood like because they just took damage instead of because they're low on health. And as for Earl, his passive, I think there should be a better way than like holding your weapon sideways or something, because if you don't have any weapon cooldowns, then you can't use your passive, because that doesn't make any sense. And his pull should have a bigger hitbox and should be faster. It should also deal some damage. And right there, he's fine. As for Betsy, I don't know. I think the bow could deal a little bit more damage. And that, I don't know. Like, I think it should be faster that you can place 2 logs. I think you should be able to double tap the logs, and it'll place 2 simultaneously. And right there, that'd be pretty good, because in a battle, it just takes too long to place 2. Also, Betsy should be able to throw her bomb over 2 logs placed on each other. That just doesn't make any sense. And then for Ollie just needs a base speed boost. Right there. The active's weird. It just, I don't know. I think it should be able to be used anytime, even if there aren't bushes beneath her, so maybe then she can use helium canister. And, actually, I take that back. I think what needs to happen with her is she gets knocked back for however much knockback her weapons do. So if you add knockback bomb or knockback spear, those weapons knock her back further. So then she'll be really good and unique with knockback weapons. I think that would really be a nice change to Ollie. And then she'd be pretty good. Just that speed boost. She has the same speed as Bruce right now, and it's crazy. Maybe to 45 instead of 38. And that's still below Nyx's base speed. And she still has, like, less mobility than Nyx. So, right there, I think that would make Ollie good. As for Donna, I think she should get a double shotgun. And it should just be the same shotgun as Earl's. And I think, so with the charge, you charge it, then you stun someone, and then you have to wait a second before you can shoot. I think you should just be able to shoot immediately, and her passive, her trail shouldn't be as obvious. It's just, they're literally useless, because someone can just see the trails and they're like, oh, there's a Donna, and bang. And they just know you're there, so the passive's absolutely garbage. So, yeah. And then, Louis, okay. So, I think he should be able to command 1 rat at a time, but his active has 3 charges. So what you do is you command 1 rat at a time, and each one leaves. But the rats carry you. So, for each rat that you let go, it reduces your movement speed. So when you have all 3 rats, you'd be really fast. But when each rat you let go, it's going to be slower and slower. And they still block damage just as they do now. So yeah, I think that would make him good, because really how he struggles is just, like, his movement speed's horrible. I also think his bow, I don't know, it does a good amount of damage. I think the bow's fine. But other than that, I think that would be pretty good. Maybe just, I don't know, give Louis, I don't know, maybe some knockback. Maybe his spear could just do a bit of knockback or something. Because as soon as someone gets on top of you, you're dead. Just tanks and characters that as soon as someone's on top of you, you're dead. They suffer. So that's pretty much the meta. All damage characters are really good. And yeah. Also, I want to talk about 2 items right now, or really 3 items. Number 1, Toolkit needs a nerf. It's too overpowered. I mean, you can just get Grandmaster 5 Fuzzy just so easily. And then And then Clown Nose should be buffed so it disables the person's passive that you use it on. So if you use Clown Nose and then you use it on an Nyx, the Nyx can't pick up weapons faster. Or if you use it on a Jade, she can't claw you. I think that would be really cool, and it should still slow. I think the slow is fine. I mean, it's like 0.7 seconds. It's not really going to do anything. And then the last item, Doctor's Coat. Doctor's Coat should go back to old Doctor's Coat. I mean, come on, who's kidding? Like, it wasn't even that great then. So now, for each person that it heals less. So it just doesn't work that well. And yeah, I think that would make Zooba characters and items more balanced. And yeah, tell me in the comments what you think of my recommendations and the tier list. This is just my opinion, so don't be too mad if I disagree with you on something. Sorry about this video being so long. You can watch it in 2 parts. But yeah, thanks for watching.